Hello, welcome back to the Skunkworks Garage. We're here today filming on the E30 project once again. Today we're kind of going to do some interior stuff. We've got some new speakers that we're going to be putting in the car, which I'll talk about in a second. And then once they're all in, we can actually start putting in some seats. Yeah. And cleaning up the interior wiring and a bunch of random stuff, really.
Finishing it up.
Yeah, totally. I'll just run over something we did last time as well, which we've already put in the car, but that was just the dipstick, got welded up and put in. Nothing too fancy. I mean, nothing changed other than what we welded and stuck on just for mounting and for a return hose.
Yeah, just drilled a hole in the E34 dipstick for the return hose from the CCV so it can drain into the sump, and just cut off the bracket where it was for the M50 engine and just welded it back where it sits on the M52 manifold, just so that it's secured to hold it down. But Harry will, I'll probably jump straight into quickly showing it,
Basically,
yeah. Cool. Do you want to grab the light quickly? So you can see it's already in, kind of hard to see. Yeah, it's in. Okay. down there you can see, not really. Down there you can see that it's in, and we've put the hose on from the bottom of the CCV, and we've just put a little bracket there to mount it. And this is all extremely bad camera work, so what I'm going to do is hand off to Harry to show you the speakers.
Oh. Okay. Are we filming?
Yep.
Okay, so these are the speakers we decided to go with. We went for the Rockford Fosgate ones. They're just kind of like a better option for an E30 because you can't really fit a bigger rear speaker in, well, the rear and the fronts. You can only fit kind of like a circular one, so a lot of people would go with like a 5x9 or a 6x9 rear speaker, basically because they just have like better bass options, and the 4-inch or 5 1/4 inch ones are, you know, a little bit more trebly and you don't get more of a full sound from them. So we did go with two different ones, partly because the option we've gone with in the rear is like a power series, so it's a smaller speaker but it's a little bit more bass forward, so it will kind of complement the traditional style 5 1/4 inch fronts.
Cool, jump straight into it.
Yeah. So these are the power series ones. They're actually a really nice speaker, and they come with, well, they come with adapter plates and really nice packaging, but they're a 60-watt rear speaker, and on top of it, it also has a tweeter. I'll just get this one out and then you'll be able to see. Power series. And underneath the cover, this has a tweeter already sitting on top, which is good. But that just allows for like a way more fuller sound coming from the rear of the car, considering it's a coupe and most of the time you'll only have people in the front, so it'll just help travel everything around a bit more, which is quite nice. Cool. Now, we went for the same brand, but a lot more of a classic style speaker to go on the front. So they're actually the same size speaker, except it doesn't have a tweeter coming out of the top of it, and this one is more directed at being a treble forward kind of left to right action speaker, if that makes sense. Now, if we get into it, whoop. Once again, like the packaging in these is like really nice, and they almost look identical in covers, which is quite nice. But so this is their Prime series, which is just kind of like their baseline series speaker, and it's just a traditional flat style one. Now we also went for these for the fronts, partly because like depth back and forward inside the actual door card, or well, the front quarter card isn't as deep as you'd think. So if you can see the difference in sizes here, there is actually quite a big step up with running like a power series compared to a Prime series. Now, a lot of people are probably wondering why we didn't go with like Fusions or Pioneers and stuff like that. Now, these are like really, really high-end speakers for what you can get in the market currently, especially in New Zealand where we are. And I was going somewhere with this and I've completely forgotten.
We've got personal experience with them. We've run them in all our past cars.
Yeah, basically. I mean,
it's what we like. It's what we know. So we're just gonna run with it.
And they fit in Beamers, so it makes sense.
Yeah, cool. So we'll jump into probably do the rears first because they'll be the most challenging.
Yeah, true.
And then we'll go to the fronts.
Yeah, nice.
Sweet.
So I'm currently sitting in the E30, which is a little bit of a shambles wiring wise. We haven't really got to this yet, but that's okay. I mean, we're here doing the speakers anyway, which, well, they're factory and pretty poos. So we're gonna take them out. I've already taken this one out in the past. Here's a kind of closer look at that. It is a turd. Just will do nothing for us at all. But the mounting for the speaker is actually quite nice, apart from the wiring being a little bit different. So we're just going to cut and re-put on the proper connectors. But the holes, which is kind of why we went with these speakers as well. I mean, it's probably pretty universal between all the different brands, but I mean, look at that. It fits real nice, and once we put the cover on it as well, it goes a specific way. I will rotate it until it fits. There we go. So, you know, that looks a hell of a lot better and will sound a hell of a lot better than that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this one out and we'll redo the wiring and then plug them in and bolt them down. Right, so just removed that passenger side rear speaker, and as always, I think everyone discovers this when they start doing interior stuff. Someone has gone with it, and now we're having to figure out some wiring. Now we know that the blue wires on this side, on the driver's side rear, are correct, and then what they've done here is cut our blue ones which run through the passenger side of the car, and this is the wiring for our left-hand speaker. But we need to double check that because they've done a lot of cutting, and I'd like to say soldering, but they didn't. They, well, did the old twirly whirly and covered it in electrical tape, which just fell apart in my hands while I was pulling it apart. So there were these two wires which weren't the correct length, so they cut and put this tiny wire in to connect it, and then cut the blue wires to connect the blue wires back together after they realized that they made a mistake. So
good job.
Now we actually have to do some real wiring. It's not exactly plug and play like it should have been. And Luke's in here now, so it's a very, very tight fit.
It's not that bad. Been worse.
So Luke is currently just putting on the new connectors, which is risky business because we only have enough to make 0 mistakes. So
that's all good. Do you want to show our markings?
Also, over here we did some messing around and digging through the wires and got a little diagram up, which was good. So we've just labeled all of these for when the head unit comes. That way when we cut these and rewire them into the head unit connector, we can not mess around so much with organizing everything. Which is good because there's a lot of cutting that's been happening in here, so it's gonna do us a lot of favors later on when we come to put in the head unit in. So we're gonna keep doing the connectors. Well, Luke's gonna keep doing the connectors, and then we'll chuck in the rear speakers and then jump to the front and then move this big box so I can do that one.
And put the seats.
And put the seats in. Okay, so the rear speakers are in and wired now. A lot cleaner than what was there before. Yeah, nice. Nice and sturdy. Goes good. Now we'll do the, the front, I guess. So, while Lukey fixes some cut wires for the driver's side one, I have already mounted this one. Yippee.
Bit more wiring to sort out.
Bit more wiring to sort out, but I mean, it's in there for now, which is nice, and a lot of this is kind of cleaned up and moved over here and labeled, which is nice. Bit of stuff to do in here on the interior, but I mean, we're getting there and we're gonna start with the speakers, really.
Yeah.
Looks good. Okay, so front speakers are in effortlessly.
Kinda.
That didn't take long at all. There was a little bit of like nonsense on the way, but driver's side one is in, and so is the passenger one. So Luke and I are just talking about putting some more of the interior together, but we're starting to realize that we haven't hooked up the vent controller bad boys, and they're not labeled or colored, so we kind of have to turn the battery on and pull and twist them and figure out which ones do which before we can hook them up to those controls, because currently they do nothing. And then we need to do some center console stuff and figure out where we're going to put the gauges, and then we can kind of put the glove box in and cover up some of this sort of stuff and put some seats in, really.
6.5 hours later.
So as you could see by our little interior montage, we discovered that we're having problems with the blower motor not even running. We checked fuse 20 and we can hear it clicking, and we're getting 12 volts at fuse 20. So now we're taking all of our NAS wiring cover off to get behind the loom so we can check the blower motor resistor, and then if that's buggered, we're gonna have to get a new one, and hopefully the blower motor isn't completely screwed up. So we're having to take a couple of backward steps here. But I mean, that's the whole part of this, you know, like we never really did the interior, so we're kind of discovering new things about the previous owner. He loves using the cutty on the wires, and it is painful, so the blower motor is kind of a nice break from that. But we're trying to keep all the wiring loomed together and plugged in and get behind all of this and behind that to get to the blower motor. So we'll be back.
Top bottom.
So despite the blower motor being completely buggered, I don't know if we filmed that or not, but it's just seized shut, so we're gonna have to get a new blower motor. But we're able to figure out this interior stuff now and kind of deal with that, considering the blower motor is just access from behind all the wiring. So a lot of that's taken apart currently, so we'll just deal with this for now and just keep moving on with our interior.
2 weeks later.
Okay, so it's a few days later and I'm back at the Skunkworks garage. We're lighting needs to change. We're back working on the E30. Luke's here as well.
Yeah.
We got a blower motor, so we can put that back in and sort that situation out that we took apart last time. This debacle that you saw, well, for you a couple of minutes ago, for us maybe 2 weeks ago. But we got a new blower motor that actually spins, which is cool.
Yeah, it's not seized up.
You know, compared to this one, which, I mean, I don't know if Luke wants to show the comparison, but
It just doesn't really.
it just doesn't want to spin.
We got it spinning a little bit by putting some WD-40 on it, but it's still like really stiff compared to that one. So we'll put that in, and then I guess the aim for the rest of this video and for us today is to get the car back to a point where we had it, which is the engine bay done, everything put back together, which means next video we should have all the parts too, the head unit wiring, the speakers, and then it's going to be pretty close to paint, so start pulling like glass out and getting ready to send it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we'll chuck this blower motor back in and hook all of this back up.
Go from there.
And yeah, go from there. Awesome.